Hey everybody, I'm here today to show you how to build what I like to call the Other Piston Gate. This is a expandable piston gate that uses the new observer blocks to go all the way up to 15 by 7, as we can see here. This design is also very survival friendly. The whole thing only uses about 2 stacks of pistons, 2 stacks of repeaters, 9 observer blocks, a few stacks of redstone dust, and of course all the slabs you need to build it. In addition, this design, while it goes all the way up to 7 tall, design variations that are 6 tall or shorter become completely flush with the ground as we're able to remove this whole upper part there. So, now that we've seen one in action, let's take a look at building one. Now, before we actually start building this, I'm going to talk briefly about just how big of a hole you're going to need to dig to fit all of this redstone beneath your gate. Now, there's a little math involved here, but you guys can handle it, so don't worry too much. So, starting with your length here from viewing the gate in the front, and that's always going to be 8 with 2 exceptions. This very top level sticks out one farther, and so it's going to be 9 in this direction, and the very bottom level sticks out a little bit farther over here, so it's going to be 9 in that direction. Taken total, it's 10 across, but for the most of it you only need a whole 8 wide. So now to talk about the depth here, your depth is always going to be the height of the bottom part of your gate times 2 plus 3. So in my case, the bottom part of this gate is 6 tall, so it's going to be 6 times 2 plus 3 is 15. For the width, it's a little bit trickier than that because it depends on 2 different things. One of them is it's going to be the width of your gate plus 4, or the height that we just used times 2 plus 6. Whichever one of those two is larger is going to determine what the width of your hole needs to be. So in my case, 15 plus 4 is 19, and that's larger than the 6 for the height times 2 plus 6, which is only 18. So the total width of the hole that I'm going to dig is going to be 19. That means my total dimensions here are going to be 10 all the way across. For most of it, it only needs to actually be 8. And then 15 deep right here, and then a width of 19. So you can see here that I've outlined what the boundaries of the hole I would dig would look like. You can see that it is 10 this way and 19 that way. And so what we're going to start off with here for the base of our circuit is what's called an ABBA circuit. And so that's a circuit that when you turn on, turns on 1, 2, 3, and when you turn off, turns off 3, 2, 1. And so we're going to start this by coming over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and right there. And we're going to put a number of repeaters equal to the height of the bottom part of our gate, and those are all going to be set to 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come back here and turn around and put a number equal to the height minus 1, so in this case 5, and those are all going to be set to 4. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to take our filler block here, and this needs to be a full block, and you're going to put them in like this right here. And then we're going to take our redstone and go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, because this is the first one, and then 1, 2, 1, 2. And you can see if we take a lever right here and put down, when we trigger it, it triggers on in that direction, and when we turn it off, it comes back towards us, which is exactly what we want. And so at this point we get to start putting in our sticky pistons, and so this is important. Your first one you want to be right here, one block above your first spot. After that you want to come out this direction until you either reach the ultimate width of your gate or you reach this spot here. At this point, any remaining pistons you want to evenly distribute between the two sides. So I already have 11 here, and so I want to go 12, 13 over there, and 14, 15 over here. Now for the height, we want to take all of these up to 6 in this case, or the height of your gate. So for me, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you get to use a regular piston for the last one, and you want to do that for all of them. So at this point, what you want to do is take the gravity affected block of your choice that your gate is actually going to be made out of, so that's gravel or sand or concrete powder for a gate of any color. I've got white concrete powder here right now, and what you want to do is come up the height of your gate. So in my case that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we want to put a piston right there. So that's 6 up, and then 1 more. And this, if you've done it right, should be even with your ground level. Now you want to repeat this process on all of your pistons here. So I'd like to make a note for this next bit, and for most of the rest of this, I prefer top half slabs for most of my supporting structure here. You get twice as many of them per filler block, which is great for survival mode. However, you can use full blocks here. It doesn't really matter for the vast majority of this. I'm going to use half slabs though. So for this next bit, what we want to do is we want to come down here. So we've got 1 right there, and we're going to take that all the way across, and then we're also going to do that 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right there. So you can see that I've got 1 for each level of my gate. Now I'm going to come to the other side, and on the alternating ones I want 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this side is always going to be 2 less than this side. So if the height of your gate was only 5, you'd have 5 here and 3 there. If it's 4, it's going to be 4 and 2. And you're going to want to take each of these out to 2 deep, and you're going to want to do it for all of them, all the way across. So at this point you should have something that looks kind of like this. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to come down here on each of these, and we're going to be alternating redstone repeaters with redstone. Now, if you have a gate that is 15, you have to start with a repeater here on the end. However, if you are doing any smaller gate, you can start with redstone here, and you'll save yourself about 10 repeaters. Now, I'm going to go and do that on all of these, and you also want to run a final wire along the outside like this. So at this point it should look something like this with alternating repeaters and redstone, or if your gate is smaller, redstone and repeaters. And now we're going to put our observer blocks in to connect each of these levels to the level above it. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go 1, 2 out to there, 1 over here, and then put a full block here. And this has to be a full block. And then 1, 2, and 1. Then you're going to take a repeater, put it here, and set it to 2. This has to be 2 or it won't work. Run redstone along here. Put your observer block in there, and then connect this. And the reason that we put this in first before connecting is if we don't, it will pulse all of these pistons right here, and that can mess up our sand up here. And so after you've done this, if you want, you can take this slab out. It doesn't need to be there anymore, but there's no harm in leaving it. And you're going to do that for all 4 of these connecting to this side. Once you've done that, you're going to come around to this side over here and do the same thing for these four, connecting upwards to their ones on the right. So once again, that's 1, 2 out, 1 over, a full block there, 2 more slabs, 1 more slab there, a repeater set to 2, redstone coming down like this, but you don't want to connect it. Get your observer block in and then connect it. And again, you'll be doing that for these 4 here and the other 4 on the first side. So now that we have 8 of our 9 observer blocks in, the time has come to actually start connecting these up to there where they're supposed to. So the first thing we need to do is correct an error that I made earlier. This needs to come up to 4 and these ones to 3 instead of the 3 and 2 that they were previously. But after that, once we've done that, we want to come up to here and then come over to here and do this. And this first one is special. Once we've done that, we can place redstone right there and a repeater right there, and that can just be on a 1. For all the rest of these, what you're going to do is you're going to take your slabs or your first block, and this goes here. And these first ones are allowed to be full blocks if you prefer. After that, however, they have to be slabs. And so then what you're going to do is you're going to alternate like this all the way up until you reach just about the level that you need to be on, and then you're going to do 1 step sideways to get a double like that. So then for this one, for example, it's going to come up all of the way to where it needs to be and keep alternating like this until it reaches this level right here, at which point it would come up 1, 2, over to there, boom, like that. And we're going to do that for each of these exactly the same, all the way down to there, all the way up to where it needs to be, each one with a repeater and redstone on it. So at this point, if we were to power this, our pistons would actually extend, and then when we turn the power off, they would retract. However, the pulsing pistons will end up destroying your gravity affected block as it drops. So we need to tap into those pistons we laid earlier to make a locking mechanism that will hold our blocks up there until our pistons are fully retracted. So as a result of that, we need to come over to this back left corner here, and we're going to make ourselves a little memory cell. And so you put 2 full blocks like that with 2 torches like this. Then you're going to take redstone dust, lay it down like this, and that's the basics of the memory cell. Now we need to connect it into our circuit. So we're going to take a redstone repeater and put it here, and then take another one here and change this one to a 4. This one stays at the starting, this one's the 4. Then we're going to come down here like this all of the way until we get even with our first spot, and here is where we're going to place our last observer block. And if everything worked well, that pulse from the observer set this memory cell to this position here, where this side is on and this side is off. If this isn't the case, just drop a lever right here, pulse it once, and then destroy it, and that should set up your memory circuit the way that it needs to be. At this point, we're going to do basically the same thing for these top pistons that we did right down here. We're going to come across 2 and make a shelf all the way down that we will then put a repeater with redstone and repeater and the redstone dust here, just like we did with the last ones. Again, if your gate is less than 15, you should start with a redstone dust and then a repeater rather than the repeater and then the dust to save it. Once we've done that, we're going to come out to here, put down a redstone repeater and set this to a 4. Note that I am on the same side that our memory cell is on here. We don't want to do it down at that end. We need to do it down at this end because we're going to connect this spot to that spot right there. Now we're back down at the memory cell and we're going to run our wire up vertically. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come over from this right here to this spot, and then our pattern is going to be basically the same as this. So you can just use this to help you get your slabs in the right spot. Once you get all of the way up to the point where this one normally diverges out sideways, so that's this point, what we're going to do is we're going to come up there over to this side and then come out 2. Then we're going to come straight across over like this right here. Now at this point we do have to do one additional thing here, which is add a block right here to stop this from connecting, and then we can just go and add our redstone dust in all of the way up to the top here. So this next little bit changes slightly depending on whether or not you want your gate to be 7 tall or only 6 tall. In both cases, you're going to put a redstone repeater here and set this to 4, and then 2 redstone dust there and some redstone dust here. If you're only doing a 6 tall design, so that is a design that does not have the upper part up there, it just has this lower part here, then you can just connect this with redstone dust and you're fine. If you are doing a 7 tall design, you want to put a solid full block right there and then put redstone dust on top of it, and you can take out this slab from beneath it. Now this next part of the design only applies if you're building a gate that is 7 tall. If your design is 6 or smaller, you can skip ahead to and completely ignore this part because you don't need to do it. So for those of you who are building one that is 7 tall, what you're going to need to do is come up over to here, and then you're going to come up 12. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if you do this right, this should be on the gate side here. And you're going to come out 1 over to here and put a redstone repeater there. And then we are going to run full blocks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 out to the width of your gate. At this point then you're going to come underneath those and sticky pistons along this bottom side right here. This is going to be your top level of your gate. At that point then we just need to run redstone down over here and down this connection over here, and it should join down here. Finally, we need to take any block that is not affected by gravity and run that along the bottom of our pistons. And with that, our gate should be 7 tall. Regardless of if you're doing a 6 or 7, this is a point where you can take a lever, come down here to our input spot, and give it a test fire. And if everything works right, it should close up like that. And then when we turn it off, it should fall back down like that. We're almost done, guys. So how this last part runs is a little bit up to you. You could just as easily take this input wire and run it to a nearby guardhouse, or a secret lever in the mayor's chamber to lock down the city, or connect it to something like a daylight sensor for a gate that automatically closed at night. In my case, I'm just going to run it up next to the gate. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to break this so we don't accidentally trigger anything while we're building this, and then come up here, and I'm going to come up in a spiral pattern like this to 8 tall. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I'm going to come up 1, 2, and come over to here. And then I'm going to continue in a spiral of 3 this way. And then I'm going to come up 1, 2 over to here. 1, 2 over to here. 1 over to there. And then I'm going to take my half slabs, you can also use full blocks here, and come out 2 this way. Then I'm going to add some redstone dust there, and on the top of all of these blocks as we're going all the way back down to the bottom. Then I'm going to take some redstone torches and put one right there, one right here, one right there, one over here, and I'm going to put a lever right here for our control lever, and then I'm going to come back down to the bottom and finally reconnect this. And if we've hooked everything up correctly, then we should be able to flip this lever and have our gate successfully trigger. If you've made it here, then you've successfully finished your working Other Piston Gate. At this point, all you have to do is add in some nice little blocks here, move around, add in some stuff to hide all of this wiring, and put some walls on the side, and then the whole thing will be done. And here we have the final prettied up design. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing what some of you people build using this design or using other designs inspired by this one. Happy building, everyone!